Good afternoon or evening it is now. Welcome back to Turbo's Toy Box. I've got my daughter's 2002 Toyota Sequoia in here. It had the dreaded cracked exhaust manifolds that were leaking. It would, like a ticking noise when it was cold, but as the engine warmed up, it would go away. And so we kind of been letting it fly. It had some oxygen sensor codes, their catalytic converter inefficiency codes, which have been there since we bought it. Knowing it was kind of an expensive job, the manifolds were leaking, figured I'd get to it sooner or later. But the back of the muffler actually rotted out and blew out. So its time came now, because I wasn't gonna weld new muffler and tailpipe to the old bad cats and, cracked manifolds. So we're in the midst of pulling the manifolds. We've had to get all sorts of crazy and ugly. So you can see this, but sometimes you gotta sacrifice a socket. I had to weld a socket right to a rounded off nut for the one manifold. Got band-aids going on because we blew apart a swivel, and when I went to remove it from the extension, caught my finger on the sharp metal that was broke, and I'm bleeding all over. There's blood on the floor. So it's going pretty much like a standard project would. So this side's totally loose. Had to take off the heat shield first. The heat shield actually covers some of the bolts that hold the manifold itself to the cylinder head. So we did that, and getting old, leaning over the car, got a couple extra cushions. Got this manifold loose also. I've jacked the car up, put it on jack stands, and popped down the inner fender liners, which has made a huge difference in getting access to some of these bolts down along the sides. So I think we're gonna call it quits for tonight, and I come back out here in the morning and try to unplug those oxygen sensors. Since I got all new cats and stuff, I can go ahead and just cut the pipes off behind the manifolds. Let's see. So I did some reading, and it seems that a few people have used these with good success. They're just the eBay stainless steel headers for the 4.7. Come with some gaskets. Found the best deal for the cats on Rock Auto. So we've got the cats, and then just picked up like a universal stainless steel, I'm gonna call it a MagnaFlow style muffler, which is kind of a glass pack style, 2.5 inch in and out. So we'll rig her up with a 2.5 inch tailpipe, and with the headers and stuff, it should sound kind of tough, and hopefully run good and get her through college. So she's just started her senior year of high school, and it's not a bad rig for a teenage girl, senior in high school. The old Sequoia is treating us well so far. It's got just shy of 230,000 miles on it, and I've previously installed Bilstein 5100s in the front, and a 2-inch coil spring spacer in the back, and then 1.25-inch wheel spacers, and then the Forerunner Trail wheels with a 285/70/17 tire. So it's a pretty tough looking rig. It really tightened up the handling, and that's a nice, solid, robust vehicle. I'm comfortable with my teenager driving here in northern Michigan. So anyway, we'll continue on in the morning. All right, so there's a pile of exhaust manifolds and catalytic converters. We just got all the oxygen sensors removed from the stock ports on the pipes. You can see that I just got under there with the Sawzall and actually cut the pipes, as I'm not reusing any of that stuff. So chopped it all out, and we got the oxygen sensors screwed back in to the new headers, making sure that we put the sensors on the correct side of the engine. I don't know if it matters, to be honest. I didn't look it up, but it just seemed like a good idea to make sure that all the sensors go back in the exact same place they came from. So the kit that I bought with the catalytic converters, using my dog's cage as a bench here, but the kit I bought, the catalytic converters actually came with new hardware for the output flanges, and they came with sensors, gaskets for the downstream O2 sensors, and they came with these rings, which I'm thinking maybe they thought was where the flanges were, the output flanges. I'm not sure. However, the headers also came with gaskets. So the headers have the cylinder head to manifold gaskets, and then they have the output flange gaskets where it goes to the cat pipes. So the hardware broke off that we had issues with in the head. I'm gonna go get all brand new hardware for that. And then it did not come with new nuts for the oxygen sensor, downstream oxygen sensor flanges. So I'm gonna take one of these to the store with me, see if we can get some hardware, match up to those studs, and we'll get back here and keep on going. All right, so lots and lots of hours later. I'll have to say I don't recommend doing this job if you don't like to break knuckles, bleed, well, I can't say have patience because I don't really have any patience. I've been fighting this thing probably an honest 5 hours today and 4 hours last night, dealing with rusty bolts that didn't want to start back into the threads or the threaded holes in the side of the head, and but we've succeeded, I think. We got everything bolted back together, the exhaust manifolds, and then the cat pipes, which are the first pipes, all the parts that I had bought brand new. So we were able to salvage all the oxygen sensors, got those all swapped over, bolted it all up. Did make a run to the hardware store. The catalytic converter pipes did not come with the nuts and stuff, so I think we kind of covered that earlier. But so we did go and get those, and the flange bolt. Now originally the truck used studs and nuts to hold the manifolds on. Possible to use those again, except that the headers really didn't have a ton of room to get the stud sticking out and then to get a nut started. So I actually, when I pulled them, they all came out except for one, but every one of them, the stud actually pulled out of the head. So I just went ahead to go get flange nuts. They're a 10 millimeter by 1.25, 25 millimeter long flange bolt that I went and bought. Unfortunately, it wasn't, I thought maybe I could just run to, like, the local auto parts store. They didn't have anything like that. I actually ended up going to a hardware store, found them in their metric section, little pull-out drawers, and I ended up having to go to a couple of different hardware stores actually to get enough because they didn't have them. So one store was like $1.59 a bolt, the other was $1.89 a bolt, but you need 16 of them, 8 per side. And but yeah, we got those on. Everything's bolted in, and everything's put back on except for the battery cables. So yeah, kind of hard to see, but they're down in there. So the engine all put back together, sensors and everything's plugged in, and we're gonna hook up the battery cables and fire it up. I'm guessing with none of that other stuff, it's gonna be super loud, but we'll see here in a second. All right, well, here goes nothing. so that's good, huh? Yeah, 4.7 sounds pretty gnarly. I like it. All right, so we got it all done. The exhaust has all been put together. Let me lay under it here, but so we got the new catalytic converters up there, reused my oxygen sensors, and new piping back to a MagnaFlow style muffler, and then we reutilized the stock tailpipe that had the resonator built into it, just to try and knock a little of the harshness out of the sound. I mean, it is my 17-year-old daughter who drives it, so we didn't want it to be too ridiculously loud, and I think we achieved with great success. So really doesn't sound bad. Fired up and up, just got just a real slight tone to it back at an idle, and nice clean rumble to it once you hit the throttle. So all in all, not too bad. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I am going to go through and retighten the header bolts after she drives it for a day. Just the mounting bolts that hold the headers to the cylinder head. Just seems like a good idea with that crush type gasket, aluminum gasket that they sent us with that with those. So yeah, project success.